welcome to Brew Tap Casts. I am Tap here for a Flesh and Blood video. This is not our ordinary sort of flesh and blood content. This is going to be something a little bit different. This is something some Monarch shenanigans that we've been thinking about. So basically, we've been pouring over the pages here at the Brew Tap Cast HQ, and we think we found some possible explanations for the story of the next set, Monarch, that will be starting to spoil next week, which starts on Tuesday, the 13th or 12th of April. And so this is our little sort of speculation slash tinfoil hat theory that we're pretty sure actually makes a lot of sense. So we're gonna take a look at what we know about Monarch. We're gonna take a look at what we know about what we have in current card sets and all the lore that is available, and sort of string together something that I think really makes a lot of sense. So Monarch. So Monarch is basically what we think of as a set that initially people thought, all right, Monarch, king sort of thing. So, someone's going to try and take over the entire world, right? And become the monarch of the world or something like that. And that kind of, maybe people still think that's true. And I think where we've gone is more of a dark versus light. So we've seen some of the key art, as you can see in the glorious backdrop to this entire video. Yeah, so it's a light versus dark. So I think that it's very easy to just go with what you see and then easily think of that from what we know as angels versus demons. And we can easily put those into groups that we think of as current, people, humans / beings on Rathe itself. So with that said, I think that we can confirm, as everyone else believes, that it is a light versus dark battle. But it gets a little bit more complicated, and I think we can sort of dig in and twist a little bit and explore what we know about that. So again, this is a little bit different, and I'm going to be trying to remember my thoughts, so it's not as streamlined as we normally are. I'm going to have to make sure I stay to my notes sort of thing, because this can get a little bit wrinkle-brained, and we want to make sure we can all stay focused and on that line. So we talked about light versus dark, and that's important. Now, what we want to go for is, well, we see angels, we see demons. Generally, we're thinking of the angels as the light side, the demons as the dark side, and they're coming together to try to take over the world. Maybe the demons are coming to take over the world, right? That's what we think right now, is that we have this dark side, wherever it's coming from, coming in and just taking over the world, right? Well, let's dig into that. So we know that Legend Story Studios has made this game. They were developing this game for a long time, 7 or 8 years before it came out. And now it's, they have that entire history of when they were making the game mechanics, but also the lore. They've written into the future, they've written into the past, and we're in this sort of present as we think of it in their timeline. So there's a lot of history to explore and a lot of future that we know we will explore. So what we want to do today is we want to look at what we know about Monarch and look about what we know right now with the lore that's available, and then sort of snowball a theory from there. So that's what we're going to do. So first, let's dive into what we have seen in regards to a couple different areas in Rathe that are kind of important to this whole theory about that. So the first one's going to be Solana. So Solana is this glorious place. It's got the light of Sol, and all of its beings are blessed, and we're always going to be happy and safe as long as you accept Sol and are living by those sort of doctrines, or whatever you want to call them, living with the light of Sol upon you. And Solana is a happy place, and everyone loves it. And they're the savior of the people, and they're trying to expunge and cleanse the world of the dark, brutish forces. Right? They're trying to spread the light. Right? Spread the light, get rid of the dark. So that sort of lines up with what we know about Monarch right now, as the angels being part of the hand of Sol or something, and the dark being what they're trying to push away. And currently, what we know is that like the Savage Lands and maybe the Demonastery are the places that they're trying to really crush and bring the light to. Right? All right, so there's also Volcor. Volcor is the sort of very lava, explodey volcano place. We know Kano is from there, and that's another place that we want to think about, we want to talk about, just to sort of put a little pin in for this talk. So they are like more of a strict kingdom. So Solana is like, there's this caste system, but everyone works together for the greater good, that sort of thing. Volcor is quite different in that there's very strict regiment, and it's a lot more sort of hierarchical, and I would say kind of like a very deadly strict thing. Like if you step out of place, you may be killed, sort of thing. And there's a lot of history about a lot of violence and that sort of thing for Volcor in that regard. So all right, so that's the second place I want to talk about. Also want to talk briefly just about the third place, the Demonastery. So this is where, we have necromancers, we have blood incantations, we have summoning demons from other dark realms. And that's Demonastery. So that's pretty easy call it the demon side, the dark side. All the bad things are coming from there. Necromancy, evil, bad stuff, right? So those are the 3 places we want to touch upon, because those are the 3 places that I think play into this story that I'm going to try to tell and have you understand. So we've talked about those 3 places. Now I want to dive into the past. So that was the past, but it's also the present. So we know where we're starting from, right? Let's dig into the past a little bit. So I want to take a look at one card from Welcome to Rathe that will really help guide our story and be our first sort of sticking point of the first step in our story and explanation of what I think is going to happen in Monarch, and that is Wounding Blow. So I have the card right here. You can see it. Beautiful art by Sonia Sandoval. Sorry, I butchered the name. Don't really know. Lovely card. Pretty good. Well, okay card and limited. You can, the 0 cost is pretty nice, and you can have some good power there. So, all in all, cool, great card. But I think what's important about this card is the flavor text. So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna quote it directly from the card. So it says, "Farmhands, villagers, and slaves, easily replaceable wretches that must be taught the joys of obedience." So let's just let that sink in for a moment. While we're sort of ruminating on that quote directly from the card, let's also take a look at the art by Sonia. So let's just, generic frame, right? Just a generic, card. Take a look at the color scheme. So we're seeing browns, reds, a little bit of yellow, gold sort of stuff, but it's a little dreary, but it's a lot of red and darker imagery here, right? Okay. So we look at the sky color, browns, light browns, golds, reds, darker things. We take a look a little bit closer. We see maybe some peasants. So you can see there's some people with some ratty, tattered clothing. We see, I think, maybe a little pickaxe. So we're looking at a lot of people in the background that are maybe lower class there. Farmhands are peasants. They're slaves, as we just talked about with the flavor text there, right? And then we pan around. We see some other people that, not too many details on there. Maybe there's some noble people, but we can't really tell. They're kind of off in the distance. We also, in the distance, we see a guard. A looks like a very nice standard bearer. Nice armor, plume, just like the guy in the front. Can't really see what's going on the actual standard, but looks nice. Very nice, right? We'll come all the way to the front now. We see the focal point. We see a soldier, and we see what looks to be maybe a farmer or something like that. And we see a nice slice right through that poor man's, right pectoralis major. Probably, as the card says, a wounding blow, maybe a fatal blow, right? Nice gash in there, blood spilling out. You see the swing of the sword sort of thing. And then let's look at the other focal point, the main guy in there. He looks like this very regal-looking soldier. Lovely hair plume sort of thing. Angry grimace face on there. I just like taking out this guy, right? We can play into that story with the flavor text. So like we got this guy here who is, again, with the whole color scheme and the armor, Volcor, right? Screams of the volcanic lands, that hierarchical, deadly kingdom sort of setup, right? That's what we're seeing here, and that's plain. The flavor text equals the art, and I think we can make some generalizations there, right? So ultimately, that's a grim piece, right? I don't think we have to sort of make a big jump to assume that this is someone from Volcor. So let's, now that we talked about some areas in on Rathe, we talked about Soul, the Demonastery, and Volcor. We talked a little bit about some cards that are these are direct depictions of things that we know are happening. Let's start putting pieces together, right? Okay. So this is a card from the first set, and it's laid out for us. And again, we know that they have this rich story, probably multiple arcs, right? And the next arc that's sort of culminating, right, is this light versus dark battle. Okay, we know that. We've talked about that. We've set out some stuff here. So let's move to the next piece. So with the wounding blow and all the sort of art in that and the depictions in that, let's keep that in our brain here. Let's go back to Solana. So Solana, this place that is trying to cleanse the world, soul, bring the light of soul everywhere, and fix all the problems in the world, right? So we wanna put our thinking caps on. We wanna put our tinfoil hats on right now, and really dig into those wrinkle brains that we got, and try to think about what we're seeing here, right? Okay, so we need to make some connections here. So soul, the good, the light, the cleansing of the world, all that kind of stuff. They have not talked about or made mention of Soul trying to cleanse Volcor, right? There's nothing in the history about that. Nothing that I can find anyways. But we do know that they've reached out. They're trying to take care of the Savage Lands where there's brutes and bad monsters, blah blah blah, and all that kind of stuff. And I believe they make mention of the Demonastery as being a place that they want to try to cleanse and bring the light to, right? Because it's a very dark area, necromancy, grr, angry, bad, whatever. So we know that. So with them, trying to attack these other places, the Savage Lands, the Demonastery, but leaving Volcor all alone and not worrying about it, the people, they're good, right? They're fine. So what we can sort of do here is we can draw a line between Volcor and Sol. So whether the people of Volcor or not know that they are pupils of Sol, they are. That's how, God's work in mysterious ways, right? So we have the people of Volcor who are pupils of Sol. Whether they know it or not, they are Sol people. They are not being cleansed by Sol because they are of them. So when we have that connection, we can then say, all right, well, Sol is okay with hurting, demeaning, killing, pushing down, these farmhands, these villagers, these slaves, these wretches, these poor wretches that need to be taught strict lessons to be joyful and have the light, right? Okay, so now we're seeing this little bit of Sol that maybe Sol's got a little bit of a not so cool, clean surface, and this bright light, right? So we have this Sol connection to killing people, being rather oppressive, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put forth evil, dark, maybe, mean, grr, angry. We're starting to switch the words that we saw in the Demonastery and the Savage Lands, and we're pushing those onto Sol now. Sol and Volcor, these human places that are, supposed to be great and joyful and happy, but they're starting to look a little dark, right? They got a tarnished side. The backside of the shield looking pretty nasty, right? So let's sum that up again. So the Savage Lands, these brutish areas, all they want to do, they just want to do their culture, right? It's like taking this other culture and you want to push it out and bring in your light. There's a lot of books out there. The Heart of Darkness is one of them that I'm sure people have read and that kind of thing. Like where there's these, we're not going to talk about the racial incompletions of that, but like there's people that are savages and there's the other ones that are trying to cleanse them because they are savages. And that's just blatantly you don't understand the culture sort of thing. And that's a crux of that. So I think that's what's happening here too. We have these oppressive, Sol, the light, all that kind of stuff. And they're just trying to push out these people that they don't like their culture, these savages, right? Okay, so these people, they're just minding their business, right? They're just, maybe they're real brutish, but you know what? That's maybe because you don't understand how things work. So whatever. So the pinnacle of all this thing is what we know about Monarch. So we know about Monarch is, again, it's that light versus the dark. And you are led to believe that maybe the Demonastery is summoning this big evil demon to come in and try to take over the world. And the light of Sol and the angels are all going to push those mean demons back, right? And save the world of Rathe. Well, what we know about Sol now is that they're a little brutal. They're killing, and subjugating, poor classes, that sort of thing, through Volcor. Maybe it's not like the perfect string line, red dotted, thing, but I think we can say that with reasonable, ability that is Sol. Sol is working through the people of Volcor to subjugate those peoples. And so maybe we should actually call the light of Sol actually the darkness of Sol. So if you see where I'm going with this, Monarch is a battle of light and dark. But just think about that. It's the possibility that those dark beings are not actually that dark. Maybe they're a little bit lighter. Maybe they're not so dark after all, and we have this bright light of Sol. And maybe that's not that light. Maybe they're a little dark. And we start to see where that inflection, that switch point of boom, the light of Sol is now the darkness of Sol. And that those dark evil demons are maybe fighting for light. They're fighting for Rathe, right? Think about it. Think about it in those brains. Because the Demonastery, summoning these things to try to make sure the world is not taken over by the light of Sol, these oppressive, we know what is right, cleansing the world of all the darkness, right? Well, maybe the Demonastery, those people up there, are summoning that big boy baddie to save the world from oppression. Think about that. So there's your light and dark. So now we've just completely swapped what is light and what is dark that we think about for Monarch. And I think that's kind of a huge huge part of this. And I think, yes, you can say that it is a little bit of a tinfoil hat theory. I agree. But you know what? If you dig in, I think we can easily say, soul, light, string to the Volcorian people, this wounding blow card, showing depictions of putting down, normal people. To another one, cleansing the world of these evil things. Oppression. Boom. Done. Easy, evil, bad. And the reaction to that, well, we're trying to save the world from this force that is trying to coat the world in its light, which maybe it's darkness. So they're going to summon this big demon. We've seen the art. We've seen the cool stuff. And I'm sure we'll see the art soon in the new cards coming out in Monarch. Like we all speculated that's going to happen. All they're doing is trying to save the world. There's a lot of other places. Maybe Metrix doesn't even know about this stuff. Maybe they're just doing their own thing. Or the place where the gardens come from. Area. Maybe that's where, there's neutral territory. There's nothing evil or good, and they're just going to be, taken over by the light of soul. If those Demonastery big baddies aren't actually the baddies, maybe they're not the baddies. Maybe they're saying, are we the baddies? No, they're not. And then the soul people are thinking, the Solanians are we the baddies? And you know what? They are. They are the baddies. That is what I think we've come to here to state. And it's simple, but it's complex. It's very important that we think about that. So the darkness that we thought was the darkness is actually the light that is defending the darkness that is actually the light. So that's that sort of thing. So very shortly, very soon, we'll have all the answers that we will need about this, because Monarch pre-releases start on the 12th. That's Tuesday of next week. Or this coming week, I should say. We'll have all the answers. Those spoilers will start rolling in, and I am very certain that my tinfoil hat will be absolutely not tinfoil at all, and it will be completely 100% true that Sol and Solana are the dark wave of monsters that are trying to cover the world in their light, which is darkness, but they just spin it a different way, look at that. And the Demonastery and all those that are sort of trying to fend off that light are actually the light themselves and not the darkness. So I think that's it. So that was today's video. It's a little bit weird, a little bit different, and I think it's got a lot of thinking involved there. I think you can take what I presented, these pieces of information that are directly from the game's lore, right? And you can wrinkle them around, flop them around in that head of yours, and see what happens. See what you think. See what you come up with. Am I way off base? Am I a bloody genius that I saw through the fog? Who knows? I don't know. Let me know. What do you think? You think this is legit? I totally do. I am 100% confident that this theory is 100% correct. And I can't wait for these spoilers to start rolling in. So with all that said, all this big brain, wrinkle brain, high intensity stuff, I can't wait for these spoilers to come out. Coming out next week. Going to be exciting, right? A bunch of creators that have gotten some spoiler cards. Really pumped for them. Looking forward to see DM Armada's one. I'm looking forward to see Flesh and Bones. Looking forward to those. I know Flesh and Bones has got something. He was going bubbly about his preview. Can't wait. Looks pretty exciting. So I hope that things are going to be awesome. And looking forward to those spoilers. So let me know what you think about this. Am I totally crazy? I don't know. But I just want to say thank you for watching the video. Let's see how things shake out. And that is all. We shall see. And we'll see you next time for Brew Tapcast. I am Tap saying goodbye and cheers.